Welcome, everybody, to the Violence Report, part of the Betting News Network. It's just me and Trizzy Bets today. We are missing our third horseman in SPJ, but we've got a great card going on in Australia. They absolutely love the sport. I think there's only one or two fights on the card that do not have an Australian or a New Zealander on their Triz. What are your thoughts about this big event? It's just a fight night, but if you're a hardcore like you, I'm sure there's a lot of spots you want to attack.
Yeah, man, I always like these little the fight nights. I honestly like some of these better than the pay-per-views. I think there's more spots to attack in the gambling aspect of things. With the pay-per-views, a lot more people betting the lines, a lot more liability with the sports books. A little bit harder to kind of nail down on a few spots. These fight nights, I find it a little bit easier to kind of really pick my spots. As far as it being Australia does love their MMA, man. But for some reason, I actually read two articles this week where the UFC is kind of struggling to sell tickets for this event. Really? I don't know if that's an economic thing or what, but usually Australia really shows up. I'm sure by Saturday night they'll be pretty much sold out, or the UFC will be saying they're sold out, or one of the two. But yeah, I'm excited for a big night of fights. Honestly, there's a lot of fights on this card. It's not even you mentioned a lot of the prospects, the Australian prospects. Just total wise, there's like 14 or 15 fights scheduled, I believe. I think it's 14. It's a huge card. It's a long night of fights. I think it starts 7 p.m. Eastern. That's a very long night of fights. Like, main event's probably not kicking off till 1 a.m. unless they get a lot of finishes, which no UFC for a week. I've been itching. I'm kind of hoping there are a lot of finishes, right?
Yeah. Hey, I think there's a lot of power on this card, don't you think?
Yeah, I do actually. There's a lot of knockout artists, and I think there's some interesting matchups just to begin with. Kind of like a few good prospects, few green on green prospects, so to say. And I think it's going to provide some great matchups.
I agree with you wholly, and I want to hear your thoughts on Kobe, who's in the prelims. We got 8 prelim fights, 6 fights on the main card, Ulberg versus Reyes. Let's just jump right into these prelims, Triz. The first one up is one of the rare lady fights and one of the only fights on the card without a New Zealander or an Australian, Loma Lookboonmee versus Alexia Fanara. This is going to be minus 260 for the Brazilian, plus 210 for Loma. What are your thoughts on this one?
Man, so Tanara looks like the real deal. And we watched her dismantle Molly McCann, but that was Molly McCann, so you didn't know how much to take from it. And then even in her last fight, she looked fantastic again. This girl really looks like the real deal out here, and I think she's trying to make a name for herself. But Loma Lookboonmee deserves her respect in her own right. She's a great grappler. A lot of people don't mention her grappling to the fullest extent that it should be talked about, but she's a great wrestler. She has great top control, and Tanara is a girl that will play the jiu-jitsu game. I mean, it could prove deadly. Maybe she loses some minutes on her back trying to throw up some crazy submissions, but in the striking department, I mean, Tanara's got a decent little advantage there. I think she's faster. She's probably stronger. I think, to be honest, I do believe Lookboonmee has a lot of power in her hands. I just think she's a little smaller. Tanara kind of looks like one of those flyweight balloons that somehow comes down to 115. She's a big woman in there, so
big reach and big height advantage for her.
Yeah, exactly. I think she might be able to pick Lookboonmee apart from the outside to the point where Lookboonmee can't get inside and land shots. She's just getting pieced up and ran away from, because Tanara is young. She's got cardio. I don't really see an upset here by Lookboonmee, but I do think if we can get a Lookboonmee point spread at plus 3.5, I think that's going to be a great bet. I do think she could steal a round off of Tanara on the judges' scorecards. I do think this is probably going to go to decision. It's a women's fight. I know Tanara has finishes on her record, but you look at who she's finishing, and you gotta know there's a lot of variance in MMA, and as the competition goes up, those finishes are probably going to fade a little bit. And Lookboonmee is a big test, so I think Lookboonmee probably takes a round on the scorecards. If I get a plus 3.5 at plus money, I'm probably going to take that, or even if it's close to even money, I'm probably going to take that as well. I think that's a good bet. And other than that, I think Tanara probably should roll. She probably should win the fight. Probably on the judge scorecards, 29-28. No finish, though.
Nice. Interesting that you say that too, because Danara, she's got significant strikes landed per minute, way higher than her opponent, but her accuracy is way lower. So, like you're saying, she might keep her on the outside just with a lot of volume, throwing bigger punches, bigger reach, bigger height. Could be an interesting fight, Triz.
Yeah,
Any
for
other
sure.
thoughts?
It's a great fight to start off the card, I would say. It might be a women's fight, but they're two very skilled women's fighters. So it's not like it's not going to be one of those 3-round like snooze fest, so to say. I actually think this is going to be a very exciting fight.
All right, next fight up. This one's very interesting. A heavyweight bout between Australian Brando Pericic versus Alicia Ellison. Trez, I have no thoughts on this fight at all. Even when you go to the official ESPN page for the UFC, these guys don't even have their reaches listed. The height for Ellison is missing, and all of their significant stats are just not there. You got any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this just seems like one of those so he trained what's it? Brando Perisic trains out of CKB with Izzy and Dan Hooker and all of those guys, and Ulberg, who's on this card. So it's technically their guy. He's 4-1. He's got 5 fights. He does have a loss. He's 31 years old. He's one of those prospects where it's like, I don't really know what they're trying to do here. There's very limited film out there on this guy. I couldn't find too much. The other guy he's fighting, couldn't find like anything on him. I have no idea what depths of the earth the UFC went to find that guy, but I just couldn't find too much about the fight. So I can't speak like too much logistically on the fight, because like I said, I really haven't been able to see either of these two guys bang. But if you want to look at it on the political aspect, he's fighting out of CKB. The other guy, you never heard of his gym. You can put 2 and 2 together here. You see what they're trying to do. They're trying to showcase one guy here, and they're trying to showcase the main event fighters, homie or training partner or whatever he is, you know, heavyweight, a little bit bigger than Ulberg, but I assume they probably still spar and shit. So I think you're probably safe taking Paris. I can't say his name, Perisic, but I'm not exactly sure. You're probably safe taking Perisic. Okay, so you're probably safe taking him on a money line aspect. I don't know about method, because like I said, I can't find too much out there. All I'm looking at here is just like what his fight history is. He's got 100% finish rate. He's fighting guys that are cans though, 15-14. His only loss came to the only fighter that wasn't 0-0. His loss came against a fighter that was 13-3. So, and again, I can't see these fights, so I don't know exactly how. So again, just based off the politics, I do think you're probably safe taking the money line here. You see what they're trying to do. Like it's very clear, you know. Blood Diamond, another CKB prospect, won a fight in the UFC. So like, and he was one of the worst fighters I've seen in a long time. So it's like, they know what they're doing here. They like to like kind of bolster prospects up. The Brando is 31 in the heavyweight division. That's still kind of young for the heavyweight division. So I mean, he could have a future here. Maybe this Alicia is like a real can. Like I said, never really heard of him either.
He's just a big dude, and his nickname is the Snack Panther. I said the ESPN site doesn't have his picture. Even the UFC official site doesn't have his picture. But he looks like a big dude when you do Google him. So any other official bets at all that you're going to take in this one, or this one you have in a parlay?
I actually might put the money line in a parlay. It might be in my Bosa pack this week. And again, I'm doing it without even knowing, really. I just kind of know what the UFC does. I've seen this for so long. There is A sides and B sides in these fights. They do have rhymes and reasons to why they book some of these fights. And maybe they have a preference on who wins and who doesn't sometimes. A lot of the times they do. And this might be one of those spots where they're trying to showcase one side, and whether it doesn't really matter who it is. You trust that because historically it just happens consistently. So,
all right. All right, next fight up, another women's fight. Michelle Montag from New Zealand taking on Luana Carolina. Carolina here is the underdog, plus 200 on the money line. Triz, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think I'm gonna take the Aussie here again. This is from everything I have gathered on Montague, she's a pretty good grappler. She's a good wrestler, and the one thing I do know about Luana Carolina is she can't stop a gust of wind from taking her down if she really wanted to. She's got good striking. She has great hands. She has great kicks. She uses distance well, but I not even knowing too much about the Montag, I know if she gets inside and she gets a body lock and she gets a trip or something like that tonight, Carolina's not getting up. She's gonna lay on her back for probably the majority of the round.
Okay.
She is athletic. She does have some cardio, I would say. Once it gets into the third round, she really starts to kind of slow down. But that's really all these Brazilians. Even the ones with great cardio, once they get to that very end, that's really kind of when they fade. Same goes for Carolina. And again, don't really know Montag's history too much, but you really know what they're always trying to do here. Montag's making a UFC debut at a huge number. I think she's a 3-1 favorite. And it doesn't take an idiot to figure out what they're trying to do here. Again, Aussie prospect, giving her a very winnable fight. She's a grappler. They're giving her a girl that can't stop a takedown. So it's you see what they're trying to do, but sometimes these prospects drop the ball on their on their debut fight. She won't shoot a takedown when she knows that's the easiest way for her to win. She'll end up trying to stand there and strike with Carolina and maybe loses a decision that way. But for the most part, how I handicap this fight is Montag's probably going to get the takedowns. She's probably going to dominate her on the ground, whether it's a 30-27 decision or maybe she finds a finish. She puts Carolina in a position she can't really get out of. Otherwise, gambling, I'm probably staying far away from this fight. There's not really a rhyme. There's no real need to bet this fight. There's no value anywhere. You don't know the Montag side. So even though you do know the Carolina side and you do know that Montag does what Carolina can't do, it's still at that number. You can't trust it, in my opinion. So this is one of those fights where you probably could get up and go take a piss and do whatever you want to do. This is that one.
All right, let's go. All right, let's go to the next fight then. I'm actually very interested in your thoughts on this one. First up, the Australian Kobe Thicknees. He actually fought his debut against the other Taporia. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's also Volk's teammate, who you kind of touched on. A lot of these guys are in prominent camps trying to make their names prominent. And he's going to take on Josiah Musasa, I hope that's right, from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This is a plus 125 for Kobe. What do you think? I've actually seen Kobe fight. Seems like he's a good young prospect in the UFC, but going up against Messiah, he's the underdog, Triz.
Yeah, I'm not. I think it's kind of crazy he's the underdog. I don't know if it's because of his fight against Taporia, but I think we need to understand that they almost got me. I think it's Alexandra, right? The brother.
Yeah.
Because all right, whatever. Yeah, Alexandra or Alexandro. I think it's one of those. Taporia. He's a different breed. He's training with Alexandra. I knew it was one of those. So he's a different breed, I would say. He's training with some of the best in the world because of his brother. He's probably just a part of those camps. His brother flies in a bunch of training partners. They're around the same weight class. He's training with the best guys in the world. He's going to be a different level of athlete. And I think Thickness kind of put up his own fight in that. Like, I really think he did a lot better than a lot of people expected. I took the over personally on that fight because of my little short notice system. And I was a little scared because it is a Taporia, but I don't even really think. Sometimes I'll say, it was kind of fixed. They were sparring. Those boys were going at it, and Thickness just kind of outlasted. So Musasa is he's so green. He's too green. In his Contender Series fight, his coaches were like yelling at him, like trying to tell him how to grapple, like in the middle of the fight, which we're 2 years apart from that. Now he's been training with better, like in a better gym or a year apart from that. But his last
wasn't even fighting in like hex and stuff. He was like fighting in like weird like
Yes.
African continent promotions, like
Yeah,
very
like
strange.
way low level, and
Yeah.
he has a lot of power in his hands, but like Carlos Vera is a terrible loss. That is a very bad loss. I don't even want to say that's a veteran lesson. It is not. He should have ran right through Carlos Vera, and the fact that he didn't, and he actually fell into that trap, like, kind of makes me think Thignesi is definitely capable of doing that. Thignesi is very slick with his jiu-jitsu. He's pretty long. He knows how to use his range. He has great kicks. I think this is going to be a very close fight, if I'm being honest. I think it's going to be a very close fight. The crowd might play a part into the decision. And once this, I think this is going to be one of those fights where when it's going to the judges' scorecards, you do not want to have the non-Aussie fighter.
Yeah.
I think whether it's a favorite, an underdog, or whatever, if you're going to the cards, you do not want to have the non-Aussie. And I think this is going to be one of those fights. I think it's going to be really close. It's going to be a great fight, I think. Probably Musasa's early, one, maybe two, maybe wins round two. But I still think round two is probably when Thignesi's going to take over and kind of show his actual experience. He's fought real high level of competition, trains with better competition every day. You know what I mean? It's like I kind of favor the Aussie here. I don't know if I'm going to get to the betting window on it really, but because Musasas does carry some big power, but it's just too green. He has a lot to learn, in my opinion. I think he made it to the highest level, which is great for him. He's still young though, and I think he's going to learn some lessons here, whether it's a loss or two early or he gets a win here. He's probably going to lose again within his next couple of fights here. He's going to grow a lot as a fighter. I think Musasas is probably a guy we see in the UFC for a long time. Ooh. He's just too green to the sport right now.
Hey, if you don't get to that betting window, that might be just one that you just enjoy. Both guys 26, both guys trying to make names for themselves. Like you said before, that might be a fight that you just take your notes, pack it away, and use it another day.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. That is a great fight for that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next fight. Jamie Mullarkey, great fucking name, versus Rolando Bedoya. What are we thinking here, Triz?
So this is another great fight. This is going to be a banger. Like,
almost a pick 'em.
Yeah, which I think is very interesting. But Mullarkey's he's a brawler, man. Say what you will about his chin. He's been knocked out many times, but he's also taken some nasty shots and kept moving. So he's a tad chinny, but I just kind of feel like he's not as much chinny as he just doesn't have any head movement whatsoever. His head just stays right on the center line and gets teed off on. Eventually it breaks, but it doesn't really break on one shot, so to say. And I think Bedoya is a little small for the division, if I'm being honest. Bedoya, like, he lands a lot of flush shots, a lot of clean shots, but doesn't seem to hurt anybody, like, seriously. And Mullarkey's a guy that if you give him a little bit of space, he's a great fighter. He may have been chinned as many times as he has, but he has fought like high levels of competition, very high levels of competition, and he's on a little bit of a losing streak here. And I think Bedoya is kind of a get right spot for him if he's ever going to get right. He's still young. He's still 31 years old. If you're fighting Mauricio Rufy, like, what are you going to do? Especially if you don't move your head. If you have serious head movement problems, fighting Mauricio Rufy is like the worst thing. You're just going to get sniped, which is exactly what happened. Nazareth Haspress is also a fantastic striker, did the exact same thing to him. We're seeing the chin start to go a little bit more so than previously. But again, this is a guy that has solid wins on his record. He's got a win over Prado. He's got a win over Makdessi. Like, Makdessi's a serviceable UFC veteran. He had a great career in the UFC. And like I said, he has losses to Mohamed Naimov and Jalen Turner and Fares Ziam. Like, they're all top level prospects. It's not like he's losing to bums. He's losing to top level UFC competition. And I just don't know if Bedoya is like on that level. I really don't.
Do you think this is just like a fight where the UFC doesn't know what either of these guys is? So like they're like, let's shake the tree.
Yeah, well, no, I think they know exactly who Malarkey is. I don't think they know who Bedoya is. Bedoya, 3-fight losing streak. I think this is a win or go home fight. I think the loser of this fight's probably getting cut from the UFC, and I can't imagine them cutting Jamie Malarkey because there's, like I said, serviceable UFC veteran. He's the fight IQ was there. He's gonna will his way to win. If this fight is relatively close in the third, going into the third round, expect Malarkey to grapple. Because I'm talking about the fight IQ. He's going to know if this gets to the judges' scorecards, a takedown, 3 minutes control time, blah, blah, blah. That could steal it for him, especially being in Australia. They're going to go crazy for him. I do think his striking is there to hang enough with Bedoya. Bedoya is just like a tight boxer, really. He doesn't throw many leg kicks, whereas Malarkey does. Bedoya is a little heavy on that front leg, and I think if Malarkey really incorporates it into his game plan, I think he's going to chew up that leg. If he chews up that leg, I think that's when he's going to be able to start letting his hands go. He might even use the grappling here because I don't think Bedoya has the greatest takedown defense either. You saw Jai Herbert take him down.
Never shoots himself.
No, he never shoots himself. He's just a pocket boxer for the main part. And that is dangerous when you're fighting Malarkey, a guy with zero head movement. I will mention again, but like I said, just experience and
leaning with the Australian.
Fight miles, like leaning with the Australian. I think a lot of Aussies are going to win on this card. I really do. So I'm gonna go with another one here. I'm probably gonna end up betting Malarkey at minus what is he minus 118 now, right?
Yep, minus 115 some places.
Yeah, exactly. I like that this week. He doesn't seem like he's too public, which I wouldn't imagine him to be because of his chin. Everybody just remembers him getting knocked out, but you have to understand here that Bedoya is also on a 3-fight losing streak, and he didn't win a UFC contract or anything of that sort. He wasn't on the Contender Series, wasn't on Ultimate Fighter, nothing like that. They signed him to fill in for a short notice fight, and now he's lost 3 straight. I don't think they have too much loyalty to him, whereas Jamie Malarkey has been in the UFC 4 years for great competition. And again, bolstered up some of their prospects kind of for them via nasty KO or blah, blah, blah. I think there's a little bit more loyalty on the Malarkey side, which is why this matchup happened, especially being in Malarkey's hometown. So very winnable fight. I like the line. I'm probably going to end up betting Malarkey.
Let's go. And speaking of being knocked out brutally, I cannot wait to talk about the Reyes fight, but we'll get there in a little bit. Let's jump to the next fight. Jonathan McAuliffe versus Oban Elliott. A little welterweight bout here near the end of the prelims. What are we thinking, Triz?
So Oban Elliott looked like absolute dog shit in his last fight. I don't know what happened. I don't know. He traveled halfway across the world for that fight, so I don't know. Maybe it was because of that, but I thought he looked so bad in that fight, and a little surprising to me, honestly. This is a guy that's very skilled, trains at a great gym, has great coaches. It's like he showed a lot of promise and just kind of dropped the ball there where McAuliffe is coming off a great win in his backyard again, though. In a very big underdog win, I feel like should be said as well. I remember Kevin Doucette was I think he was a 2.5 to 1 favorite in that fight, and McAuliffe was able to outlast him to win the decision. I don't know if that's exactly going to happen again. I think Oban Elliott has a really high fight IQ, and I think this is a very closely lined fight again for a reason. Honestly, this fight kind of has judges' scorecards written all over it a little bit, but I think Oban Elliott's going to kind of implement the grappling here. He was scared to do it in his last fight. I think McAuliffe is not a guy to put fear into your grappling game, really. I think he's going to have confidence, offensive grappling. And I think he's going to McAuliffe is a big body, but it's nothing Elliott won't be able to handle. He has wrestled bigger fighters before. And I think the jiu-jitsu skills are just kind of very far apart here. And I think once Elliott gets the fight to the ground, it's going to be a whole different world from McAuliffe, where he didn't really have to wrestle against Doucette. He kind of used Doucette's game against him. Doucette usually likes to throw jabs and outpoint you and never land anything that's going to put you down, but land 100 shots in between. And McAuliffe just kind of did that to him. So in a fight against Elliott, who he's not the best striker, I just don't think he's going to stand there and strike with McAuliffe for 3 rounds. I think he's going to try to implement the grappling, and if he does, I think he's going to have success. This is going to be one of those cases where I probably am going to fade an Aussie, and I think I'm going to take Oban Elliott here on the money line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing -125 right now, so playable number. Do you think it will move by Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's going back and forth a little bit. You know,
Okay.
I don't think it's going to cross the zero again. I don't think Elliott will be an underdog by Saturday, but he might be -115 Saturday or -130. I think it's going to just bounce around those numbers. Just McAuliffe is the hometown kid. A lot of money's going to come in on him when it comes down to fight day. So
let's go. All right, next one up, Cam Rouston versus Andre Petroski, middleweight bout. Any strong thoughts or strong leans here, Tris?
Andre Petroski is a great wrestler, but very low fight IQ here. And Cam Rouston is a guy that has some slick submissions. Petroski is a great BJJ artist in his own right. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying the fight IQ is very low. If he starts huffing and puffing and kind of getting really, really tired shooting takedowns or X, Y, and Z, I do not put it past him 100% to make a mistake here. I think Rouston just fought on the Contender Series like a month ago, like a month and a half ago, maybe. And
on
they're
the
already
19th.
Exactly. They're already giving him a fight in Australia. I think that's most likely for a reason. So he might be the underdog here, but I like the Aussie here. Again, Petroski, very low fight IQ and very low volume as well. If he might throw 20 strikes the first round, but he's going to throw 10 the third. So this might be a fight where Petroski has some success early and he's able to land the takedown early. And then as the fight goes on, he's not able to land that takedown. And then what does the fight look like when he's not able to land that takedown? I trust Rouston's going to put the volume out there where at the very least he'll win a greasy split decision or something of that nature.
Plus 150 on the money line.
Yeah, I like Rouston here. Probably on the money line. If you're getting that 1.5 to 1, that's a good price as it is. But Rouston by sub decision. If because he's making his debut, so they might put up a few really dumb lines. And if they put up Rouston sub decision 2.5 to 1, 3 to 1, I'd be on that ASAP. I'm probably going to look into something like that. I think
sub is like different on every book, Triz.
Yeah, it's a debut fighter, so they don't really know. You know, they're just kind of throwing stuff out there, seeing what's going to stick, who's touching what, blah, blah. I know the most likely method of victory is Petroski by points. And I keep track of the most likely method of victories almost every fight card. And it is very rare if they go better than 50-50. Like very, very rare. They usually go like 4-8 or 4-9 or 5-7, something around those lines. They usually, the most likely method of victory will not be the actual method that hits come Saturday night.
All right. Yeah, interesting. Rouston Contender Series, already 30, wins that fight, gets straight onto a prelim at home in Australia. Any other thoughts? I should keep it moving.
Actually, that now that you mentioned that, I also think it's a pretty big thing. Petroski's not some very low level on the fringe of being cut type of fighter. He's like up there. He's fought a lot of great fighters. He's I don't believe he's ranked, but he's fringe top 15. I would say he always fights guys trying to make the top 15 or getting into the top 15. So I think it's a big step up in competition very quick, I would say. And I think that's for a reason. Again, Rouston, I believe Rouston is another CKB guy. Yes, he is. Rouston is another guy that's fighting out of City Kickboxing. So City Kickboxing is all over this card. And for good reason, I would say. I think there's a good chance they go like 4-0 or something.
Let's go. The new fighting nerds who finally showed a little bit of weakness in the last few fights.
All
right.
Get me started there, man.
Let's jump to the final fight of the prelims. We hope you guys are enjoying Trizzy's breakdown of every fight. We got a New Zealander, Navajo Sterling versus Rodolfo Bellato from Brazil. Sterling, the heavy favorite, minus 260 on the money line. Triz, are you backing the New Zealander, the Kiwi, as hard as the books are?
Oh man, so I do believe this is another CKB prospect. It is, but I'm not too confident in this one.
All right.
His fight against Ivan Erslan was a little worrisome for me. He let him in that just a little bit too much. He was low volume. He was letting Erslan kind of hang on him for a second there, grapple him a little bit. I believe he was taken down in that fight. I think we've seen a lot of these CKB guys drop the ball as a big favorite. The main event fighter of this card himself, Carlos Ulberg, has a terrible loss on his record in the early parts of his UFC career. So it happens to a couple of them. And I don't think Rodolfo Bellato is good, but I think he's a blockhead. I think he's going to eat a lot of punches and he's going to keep moving forward. And from what Sterling has shown so far I don't think he deals with adversity the best. I think he came to the UFC very green as well, highly touted because he's a CKB guy and they all are. I just think he was a little green and maybe this is a step down in competition compared to Erslan, because now you see Erslan's in the co-main event, I believe. Yeah. So maybe it's a step down, but I don't really think so, because Bellato's fought some pretty good UFC competition himself. Paul Craig, Jimmy Crute, Ihor Peteria. He's had a decent little run of fights here himself, and like I said, I if any of these CKB prospects is going to drop the ball, it might be Sterling. And this line hasn't moved too much all week, which I feel like it should. Bellato is very aggressive when he strikes, which actually may play into Sterling's game a little bit. In the Erslan fight, you saw him struggle a little bit, and it's more so because he kept waiting for Erslan to do something, and Erslan just was standing there looking at him.
We'll talk about that guy. We'll talk about it.
He's more of a counter striker. So if you're not attacking him, he's just going to kind of stand there. Ulberg is very similar. My breakdown for Ulberg is going to be very similar. It's just they're counter strikers. So their fights can become boring if their opponent is being boring. If their opponent wants to really engage, then they're going to engage because they're counter strikers. They find their opportunities based off your mistakes. So if you're not throwing anything to make a mistake, they can't do that, and they kind of freeze up a little bit, which is kind of how I foresee Sterling dropping the ball. Maybe it's not in this fight. Maybe it's his next fight. But one of these fights, he's going to freeze up a little bit and lose a close decision or something of that nature. Something where some people think he won, some people don't think he won. The judges end up giving him the loss or something. I kind of see that coming. He needs that vet lesson. Now, I don't really think Bellato is going to be the one to really give that vet lesson to him, but I think he's going to give him some adversity. Like I said, he's a blockhead. He can eat a lot of punches and keep moving forward. And very aggressive. So he throws very big punches too. We saw Sterling get touched up a decent. He absorbed a decent amount of strikes against Erslan, and Erslan's not the best striker. So I would say Bellato's a little bit of a better striker. I'm probably staying away from this fight. I don't think I'm going to bet it whatsoever. This is a prove it spot to me for Sterling. I didn't like that last fight at all. I kind of know what Bellato is. I don't think he's going to be anything too special in the UFC. He's not a big rising prospect or nothing. He's just going to be a guy that goes like a 50-50 guy, wins a fight, loses one, wins two, loses two. He's going to be one of those guys that hangs around the UFC for a while, but doesn't actually kind of make a run to the top. So it's a prove it fight for me.
Let's go. All right, that was the last fight of the prelims. Triz, we're going to jump into the main card now. I hope you guys are enjoying all of Trizzy's breakdown. Make sure you scan that QR code for Bet Online and get your deposit match bonus. But let's jump in to the main card. All right, we got 6 fights on this main card in Perth. Ulberg versus Reyes in the RAC Arena in Perth on Saturday night. What are your just like preliminary thoughts before we start going fight by fight?
So the main card is really like kind of where it's at in this fight card. In my opinion, there's some very interesting matchups on this. There's some exciting matchups on this main card, and all kind of leading up to this main event too. I'm excited for this main event. Carlos Ulberg, 34 years old. I've been kind of waiting for him to make this pop. It's not like he's old prospect because we're talking about light heavyweight here. 34 at light heavyweight is like 28 at bantamweight. They kind of go longer in their careers. Alex Pereira just held the title for like 2 years and he's 36, 37, something like that. Jan Blachowicz had the title till he was like 39. Glover Teixeira was like 41 with the title. We see older prospects in this division. So we've been waiting for it for a while now. We've seen him on this 8-fight winning streak. I think it's a nice cap off to this main card.
Nice. All right, let's just go ahead and jump into the first fight then. We got Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell in a lightweight fight here. Campbell is the underdog here, plus 125 on the money line. Tom Nolan, a little bit taller, got a decent reach. The southpaw is from Australia. Triz, what are your thoughts on this one?
So this is a fight of two guys that are down to bang. Which is going to prove a very exciting matchup, in my opinion. Charlie Campbell has the grappling upside in the fight, I would say. Much better grappler, in my opinion. Tom Nolan's a guy that kind of can get held against the cage. Tom Nolan's also a guy that's used to having a size advantage in most of his fights, and he's not going to have one here. Charlie Campbell actually has the height advantage in this fight, so I think that could prove it could prove something as well. I kind of think. I kind of like Campbell here. I kind of just like his pace. I like his fight IQ as well. I like his grappling presence, his pressure. Tom Nolan's not the best when he's moving backwards. Tom Nolan, his chin is like a little testy, like we were saying, but his striking defense has gotten a lot better to kind of cover that up a little bit. We saw him deal with Slava Claus pretty well. Slava Claus is he's a dangerous striker. Say what you will about him. He 50-50 UFC fighter, but he is a dangerous striker. He's a very good kickboxer. And Tom Nolan dealt with him very well. He had to use some grappling to get the fight done, but he's not grappling Charlie Campbell. That's for damn sure. Charlie Campbell will stuff every single takedown. It's not going to happen. Charlie Campbell could offensive wrestle here. And if he does, I don't really know if Tom Nolan has the takedown defense to stop him. Charlie Campbell's a guy he's training out of Longo. He's grappling with great fighters every single day. I like him to get it done in this matchup. I think he's probably going to grapple fuck Tom Nolan to a decision victory here. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. I think Tom Nolan overextends in some exchanges, and Charlie Campbell's not necessarily a guy that's going to more so capitalize on that overextension with like strikes. Okay. He might shoot a takedown. If Tom Nolan throws something heavy, gets off balance, he might shoot the takedown. And if Tom Nolan gets on his back, I kind of think Charlie Campbell's going to ride him out for the rest of the round. He might even be able to advance, get into full mount. If he gets into full mount, the fight might be over. Tom Nolan's very green on the ground. So I like Charlie Campbell to get this done. I think there's a lot of value on that money line. A lot of the Australian prospects here are kind of set up to win. I don't know if Tom Nolan is. So I like the underdog side in this matchup. I know it's to open the main card. It's not the best, like you're gonna fade the Aussie fighter opening the main card, but it happens. It happens. I like Campbell in this fight.
Let's go. Interesting. Didn't expect that. Let's go to the next one. It's my favorite division, the heavyweight division. We usually get some bangers here. We got two guys, Justin Tafa from Australia and Louie Sutherland from Scotland. Sutherland, a little bit of an underdog, plus 105. Triz, what are your thoughts on the big boys?
So how do you trust Justin Tafa at this point? you know what I mean? Is how do you trust him? Why does the UFC keep giving this guy fights in Australia? Not even like They keep giving him fights in his hometown. It's like in his home country. It's like the only place he fights. It is the only place he fights. Sutherland is a guy that's fought in like pretty big promotions before. He's 0-1 in Bellator. He's 1-1 in the PFL. Like you never know with those guys that are coming over like that, but he's fought some decent competition, I'd say. Not the best. I mean, who's Tafa really fought either? Yeah. Great nickname. Huge body. Massive body for the division. I don't exactly know what the game plan is going to be here for him. He keeps his head on the center line a lot. So he's going to probably throw the volume in the matchup. He's going to be Tafa is really hard to take down because he's got these big ass hips. So his sprawls are just crazy. It's just, he becomes an immovable object. So I don't really think Sutherland's going to try to wrestle too much, but he definitely has a striking advantage here. His disadvantage is he keeps his head on the center line a little bit too much. And a guy like Justin Tafa, he's not a guy that's going to throw out jabs and kind of like pick his shot. He's going to wing a big overhand right that you were not expecting. And if it lands, like that's really his game plan. And if Sutherland gives him that opportunity, then it could prove deadly. But Sutherland has been a guy, I'm not really worried about his chin. He's taken some big punches before. I kind of think this is another setup spot. I know Tafa's 0-2 in his last two. In his home country, and maybe he's due for a win in his home country. I don't think they really did him any favors here, to be honest. I think this is a tough matchup for him. I think this debutant in Sutherland is going to give him a pretty good fight, and I like Sutherland on the money line here. I'm probably going to fade 2 Aussies right start the main card.
Let's go. Hey, not a bad way to do it. It doesn't have to always be the square spots. Like, you're the guy who breaks down all these fights for Betting News. Make sure you go check out Trizzy's Scribbles too. They will be out on Saturday with his full card. You can just go check out his preliminary thoughts on the website already. But interesting, Triz, because fight to go to the distance is -250. So we might get a good little finish here.
Yeah, that's what I think. That is very interesting too for a heavyweight fight. Justin Tafa is not a guy that goes to decision very frequently. I think his last decision was Carl Williams, but that was because Carl Williams was kind of chasing him down, trying to take him down all over the mat. So very interesting. If this fight goes to decision, Justin Tafa doesn't have any cardio. So who's throwing? Who's throwing in the second and third round? Probably the guy that's yoked out of his mind in shape as a heavyweight, where Justin Tafa is just a heavyweight. He's just big guy, a lot of meat on those bones. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Any more thoughts, or should we go to the next one here?
No, we can jump to the next one, man.
All right, next one up, we have Jake Matthews versus the UFC vet in Neil Magny. Fight odds here. Heavy favorite is the Aussie Jake Matthews, -450 on the money line. Triz, does the grappling Neil Magny veteran have any chance in this one, or is this just going to be an easy win for Jake?
Man, I am so sick of watching Neil Magny fight, man. I'm so tired of it, dude. I'm over it, man. Like, he's the worst fighter I've ever seen. It's like he loses every fight until he just randomly wins some of them, and then others, you know what I mean? Now he's starting to get finished a little bit later on in his career. He was just coming off 2 straight finish losses. But he finished Zaleski a few months ago. Now he's turning around very quick against Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews is a guy that's been in the UFC since he was a damn kid. He's been there since he was like 22, kind of grown into his own. There's been times in his career where I really thought he was about to take a turn, and then he suffers another setback. But here he is on a 3-fight winning streak. And his last losses against Michael Morales was that's a top-notch loss. We just saw him dismantle Gilbert Burns. So top-notch loss, not a bad loss. So you want to take that loss out. Now he's won 4 of his last 5. And then Semmelsberger loss was like, it was like, that was kind of a 50-50 fight. But To each his own. I think this guy is actually making strides in his career now. He's at the age where he can actually come into his own, get into his prime. And we've seen Magny's durability just go on the decline as of late. He's got those skinny legs, and Jake Matthews is a guy that will destroy your leg. He throws some very, very heavy calf kicks, and Magny has never shown any interest in learning how to check a calf kick. Like,
so do you think this is a setup spot, a little bit of a resume
100%.
builder?
100%. Not. I think Magny's going to get finished here. I really do. I think Magny's going to get finished again and get finished for the third time in 4 fights. He's close to the end. That's why I started the segment by saying that. I know he's close to the end. I'm just so sick of watching him beat all these prospects that you think are going to be something, and that kick his ass for 10 minutes and then lose 1 minute and it's gone, because that's just the type of fighter Magny is. He loves to hang on you, wants to push you against the cage. I don't think he's going to do that to Jake Matthews. He's the bigger Matthews is the bulkier fighter, I would say. He's probably the stronger fighter. He's great in the jiu-jitsu department. He's a great grappler. He's not going to really be able to be controlled by Magny. I don't see any way Magny wins this fight. And finding it hard, the closer we get to the fight day, I'm struggling to see how Magny even makes it to the end of the third round. So I'm getting more and more, getting closer and closer to taking Matthews inside the distance here. I think he's going to finish Neil Magny and kind of put that statement out there like, hey, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm in my prime, I've made strides, and kind of take off from here, I would say.
Let's go. Fight to just not go the distance, not taking a side, is -110, Triz.
Yeah, I do kind of like that again, because we see Magny being the opportunistic douchebag he is. And if 14 minutes into a fight where he's lost every single second, he'll find a finish one way or another. So again,
savvy vet.
Yeah, savvy vet, very savvy veteran.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. We got a featherweight bout, Triz. Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Taveras. Taveras here is the underdog, +240 on the money line. Triz, what are we thinking here? You still fading the Aussies this deep into the card, or?
No way. Jack Jenkins is my most confident bet on the card. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to play him. I like him every single way. I think this is a great bounce back spot for Jack Jenkins. Ramon Taveras is a pocket boxer, very good pocket boxer. I would mention as well. He has very, very quick hands. Not the biggest power because he's a little bit smaller for the division, but very, very slick hands. He's hurt a lot of fighters. The problem with that being is he's so heavy on the front leg because he's a pocket boxer. So he's so heavy. He just kind of plants. And Jack Jenkins is a guy that has a finish on his record by leg kicks. His leg kicks are brutal, like absolutely brutal. I believe he broke somebody's leg with leg kicks. Again, set up tailor-made matchup. Tailor-made. I think Jenkins is going to tear up that leg in the first round, get into the second round, then he's going to be able to start letting his hands go. And again, I mentioned Taveras is a pocket boxer. Jenkins is a guy with great takedowns. Jenkins can actually wrestle. Jenkins is getting up there in age as well. Had a few setbacks in his career. He just had a lot of health scares. This is a big bounce back spot. Hometown kid, come back from all of the health stuff. There's a whole story built into this. So I like the finish here. I like the Jenkins inside the distance. I like under 2.5 rounds. I like Jenkins, and more Jenkins. Wherever you want to put him, I like it all in this fight. I think Jenkins rolls here.
Jesus, Triz. I am looking this up, and apparently Jenkins has broke the legs of 3 different opponents throughout his MMA career, going from serious to little breaks, but enough. And people are talking about how he might be the king of leg kicks in that division.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. And here he goes fighting a pocket boxer that can't get off his lead leg. He just never gets off his lead leg. And then again, I should have mentioned this as well, is when Taveras tries to switch stances because other people have attacked his leg. Davey Grant destroyed his leg. He's not the same boxer. He's not the same. He doesn't throw with the volume that he can when he's in his normal orthodox. So again, I like Jenkins in this fight big. I think this is one of my most confident plays on the card. However you want to play Jenkins, I think it all hits. Besides it, obviously you can't take decision and inside the distance, but however you choose to play Jenkins, I think it's most likely going to hit. I don't see this fight going 3 rounds. That's for damn sure.
I know you don't have your official card out yet, but like, what are you leaning with to play with Jenkins? Not to
probably
go the distance.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take Jenkins to win inside the distance. I think the submission is very live as well. Like I said, Taveras is not a grappler by any means. He struggles when he is on his back, and Jenkins has a pretty slick submission game. Jenkins has some nasty ground and pounds. You look at his Contender Series finish; he elbowed that dude's face through the mat. So I like Jenkins big here. He can win this fight in a lot of different ways, and like I said, the storyline built in behind it, he is coming off of a lot of health issues that kept him out of fighting. You know, you're going to see the videos right before he comes out about how much he's gone through to get back into the octagon and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, Aussie kid is going to play into the crowd. I think he's going to get a big finish here at home.
Let's go. All right, we only got 2 fights left, Triz. This has been fun. Miss SPJ a little bit. Hard to do the housekeeping, but it's been good.
Yeah, we're cooking, man. We're cooking. Man. And no offense to SPJ or nothing, but you know what I'm saying? We're flying through this thing.
Let's go. All right, speaking of flying through, I want Jimmy Crute to fly through Erslan. Erslan, Triz, just such a low significant strike rate in the and I hate that out of guys. I just hate it so much. You kind of talked about it at the tip of the show, but we got Jimmy Crute here taking on Ivan Erslan in a light heavyweight bout. Erslan, the underdog, plus 180. Triz, tell me what we're betting with the Aussie. He's got. I weirdly like Crute a lot, not just as like a fighter, as a dude, kind of.
I do too, man. I just wish that dude would get on the damn bike, bro. Get more than 5 minutes of cardio. Get more than 7 minutes of cardio, and you would be a dominant fighter, man. Like, he would be so good. He can grapple his ass off. But the problem is, if he spends the whole first round grappling, he is sucking wind the entire second round. He cannot put any offense together because he's so tired. He's got his hands on his knees, literally. And it's like... you see these draws he's had. One of the draws against Minifield was partially because of his chin, and he kept getting dropped every 2 seconds. But the other one is because he dominates early, and then he lets his opponent come back into the fight because he's too tired to fight anymore. So, Erslan's a guy that can be taken down, 100%. He can be taken down. He's there to be taken down. I think Crute's going to have success taking him down. Definitely in round 1. He's definitely going to get a takedown in round 1. Is he going to be able to finish the fight in round 1? I don't know. If he doesn't, this fight gets interesting, just like every other Jimmy Crute fight. So my plan here would probably be watch the first round, watch Jimmy Crute take down Ivan Erslan, and ride him out. And if he doesn't finish Erslan in round 1, you go to your sports book, you open up the lines, and you take Erslan live at a fat plus number. It's going to be a huge plus number because he's going to get dominated the first round. Then you just sit and you pray and you watch and you wait. You know what I mean? And you wait for Jimmy to start sucking wind a little bit, getting really tired. The jab stops coming. And once the jab stops, all of the game stops. Like, once he stops tossing out that jab, the strikes are just telegraphed. Like, you can see him coming from across the octagon. No success whatsoever. Then he tries to land these sloppy takedowns. And I don't think that's going to happen. Erslan has very big power in his hands as well. We slightly touched upon the fact that Jimmy Crute's chin is not the same. He's gotten dropped a lot of times. I think Jamal Hill took a piece of his soul, and he has not been the same since that fight. That he is not able to take damage the same since that fight. So Crute's not a guy that deals with adversity very well. Aussie guy. So it's obviously, you know, like we mentioned, the UFC's got some A sides and some B sides of who they blah, blah, blah. But you see Crute in his last 5 fights, he's 1, 2, and 2 draws. When is the last time you ever saw a fighter have 2 draws within their last, and not like 2 draws in their whole career, never mind their last 5 fights? It's like, I don't know where this guy's going. He's still relatively young. He's 29 years old in the light heavyweight division. That's essentially a baby. You know, he's like, so
your gut is saying that Jimmy's got to do damage, beat him up, win early. Otherwise, the vet on the other side is just going to drag this to the distance.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe not even drag it to the distance. Once Crute gets tired and starts sucking wind in the second or third round, if Erslan lands something big, I don't trust Jimmy Crute's chin to hold up at all, like whatsoever. So I think at this point in Crute's career, until he proves me something, if he goes out and submits or knocks out Erslan in the first round, I'll change my tune a little bit. But I think at this point in Crute's career, you can't lay chalk on him in any situation. You can't lay chalk on him, and especially not 2-1 chalk. I don't even care that he's fighting at home. Like I said, 1, 2, and 2 in his last 5 fights. How popular is he in Australia?
But the better places to attack on this card.
Agreed.
All right, let's skip ahead. Not skip ahead. Let's go ahead and hit the last fight. I'm actually super excited for this one. We got Carlos Ulberg, 13-1, taking on Dominick Reyes, 15-4. Both guys kind of hot as of late. Reyes is a +200 underdog. Triz, just before you give your analysis on the fight, I thought it'd be interesting if you just go over the fight history of these two guys. We got Ulberg on an 8-fight win streak. He's got some random no names if you're casual like me on that list. But Triz, what are your thoughts on Ulberg's win streak here?
So I think the win streak is being a little blown out of proportion, if you ask me. Well, this is how I personally feel about it. You go and you look at, he couldn't finish the ghost of Jan Blachowicz. And then the Volkan Ozdemir fight was also a very bad look. He couldn't finish him, and he's been finished by everybody. And then you go down a little bit longer on the list. Nikolai Negumereanu, that was such a clean finish. I will give him that. That was one of the cleanest combinations I've seen in the UFC in a long time. But Negumereanu is a guy that was cut. Tafan Nchukwu, a guy that was cut. Fabio Charant, a guy that was cut. So it's like, what is the level of this competition here? 3 of the 5 are guys. I think it's 4 of the 5, 4 of the 8 wins are guys that were cut from the UFC. So lower level competition. And again, I think he fought Ihor Peteria on that run too. And he's a guy that's knocking on the door of getting cut from the UFC. So in a year, this win streak might not look very good at all. So I think he's kind of been coddled a little bit, which I don't know why, because that loss, which should be talked about, he might be on an 8-fight win streak. You should have left the one right at the bottom. That one little loss, should have left that one right at the bottom, because I think that one speaks more than the 8 above it.
All right.
He has a loss to Kennedy Nchukwu, who, in my opinion, is not a high-level UFC fighter. I think that was a massive red flag. He was not a young fighter when he had that loss. He was not a young guy. I think he was 28, 29 years old, a guy that should have been coming into his own, and he dropped that fight. Very low volume in that fight. We've seen him be low volume before, the Jan Blachowicz fight. Like I was saying, a lot of people didn't even think he won that fight. That fight was very, very close. He stopped very low volume because Jan Blachowicz, UFC veteran, kind of controlled the striking and kept it at his pace when he wanted it to be. And I mentioned it earlier in the show, Ulberg is a very big counter puncher. If you're not aggressive, it's going to end up being a boring fight, because he's not going to bring the pressure. That's not what he does. He's not going to take a risk. He's not going to kind of put himself out there. He's not going to brawl it out by any means. And I feel like that's what Dominick Reyes needs to find success, is brawls, firefights, things.
Well, let's talk about his history, Triz.
Yeah.
4 very bad losses. Obviously, everybody in the MMA world knows or thinks that he should have won that John Jones fights, but then he had some very bad knockouts. But now he's obviously got 3 straight wins. Obviously, Anthony Smith, not the best win in the world. He was on his way out anyways. But Triz, what do you think about Dominick Reyes' recent fight history here?
So what I'll say is the KO against Jan Blachowicz, that was a hook from hell. I do not put that on his chin. I know people talk about his chin, but people really talk about his chin because of the Ryan Spann KO, because that was just a light jab and he was put out cold. I don't know what was up with that. But again, you go to the KO loss against Jiri, and that was like a spinning elbow from hell. Like, can you really, like, you know what I mean? Can you really put it against his chin? Like, nobody's eating that spinning elbow. I don't care who you are in the light heavyweight division. Nobody's eating that elbow, and I don't think many people in the light heavyweight division eat that hook from Jan either. So, like, does he really have a bad chin? Because now, again, he's fought a really good striker in Krylov. He fought a really good striker in Dustin Jacoby. But Ryan Spann did knock him out cold with a jab. So I don't really know where this chin is at this point. Some people say it's completely gone. I don't think I'm willing to say that because, like I said, 2 of those knockouts, anybody is getting knocked out by those. Maybe he bounced back too quick after the Jiri loss and fought Ryan Spann. I don't think so, though. I'm pretty sure he took like 2 years off to fight Ryan Spann. But I mean, you've seen him taking a different stride in his career here, and he's got 3 great wins in a row. I mean, I wouldn't say Anthony Smith is the best win, especially at that point in his career. Anthony Smith,
but he did what he was supposed to do against him, I guess.
Yes. He crushed the can like he was supposed to, you know. So you can give him that credit. Dustin Jacoby, that was a solid win, very solid win. We hadn't seen anybody put Jacoby out yet, and Reyes did, and he did it in style. He did it in very exciting fashion. So, and again, that Krylov KO was incredibly impressive to me. Now, I don't think that situation presents itself not a single time in the entire 5 rounds of the fight against Ulberg here, because Ulberg would never, ever be that aggressive. Krylov just marched across the octagon, was trying to like run at him, ran right into a left hook. Ulberg's not doing that. Ulberg wants you to run into a left hook. I think this fight has a very high probability of being boring. I really do. I think this fight has a very high chance of being very boring until maybe because it is 5 rounds, it gets exciting towards the end and somebody ends up getting finished. But I think for the first couple rounds of this fight, it is going to be very boring because both of these guys, again, Dominick Reyes is afraid to take risks because of that chin. Ulberg is a guy that doesn't take any risks to begin with. He wants you to take the risk so he can capitalize on your mistake. Dominick Reyes, again, ever since making this little turn, being knocked out 3 straight times, he's a guy that doesn't want to make any mistakes. He's trying to do everything to not make a mistake. He will fight this way because he knows this isn't going to bring that opportunity about. So I think the fairy tale story of Dominick Reyes probably ends here. I would say, unfortunately, he's kind of had his crack at the title. The winner of this fight is 100% probably going to get a title shot.
I was going to ask you about this, Triz, because if Ankalaev wins again against Alex, Yuri's already fought, and Carlos is probably the next one if he wins. So then I'm surprised you're saying that this fight could be boring, because you'd think that both these guys would want to put an exclamation mark on this fight so that they can secure that title fight. No?
Who else is it going to be?
Yeah,
that's the point. It doesn't even have to be exciting because there's nobody else right now. There's just genuinely nobody else.
Jamal's not getting it. Khalil's not getting it.
Nope. That's you can keep going down the list, and you're like, okay, who the hell is Ankalaev going to fight next? If it's not Ulberg, you know what I mean? Granted, there's the slim chance that Pereira goes out there and gets his belt back. And if he does, then that sets up another fight with them. So Ulberg's run will get delayed a little bit more, which I feel bad about because now Ulberg's seen like 3 trilogies as he's trying to come up through the ranks. So besides the point, I do think Ulberg's probably going to put a statement on this.
Okay.
I just think it might take him about 20 minutes to do it. I think we might get deep into the 4th round and we're saying to ourselves, all right, man, like what are we doing? And then a big punch ends up getting landed or something like that. I think eventually he's going to have to turn up the heat. I think this fight's going to be boring for a little bit. until Ulberg feels comfortable enough to be like, okay, I can be a little bit more aggressive. I'm not afraid of what this guy's throwing back at me. I'm not afraid of the takedowns. I'm not afraid of X, Y, and Z. One thing I haven't mentioned here, again, that goes towards my whole boring theory, is this is a southpaw on southpaw matchup. And Ulberg and Reyes have both significantly struggled against southpaws. Reyes knocked out the last southpaw he fought in Jacoby, but typically before that in his career, he never fought that well against southpaws. It's an awkward style. It's hard to land leg kicks and X, Y, and Z, but Ulberg's the more versatile striker of the two. So if anybody is going to switch stances and kind of move around a little bit differently, it's going to be Ulberg, which again, I think could kind of provide an advantage for Ulberg, because he's going to be able to land that leg kick. He's going to be able to land the body kicks, the teep kicks. I think if Ulberg controls this fight, he should win. If he dictates the pace, if he brings the fight to Reyes, he's probably going to win. If he watches this fight happen, waiting for the perfect opportunity, he might let this slip. And being 34 years old, being prepped and groomed and coddled to this title shot, you just have to imagine he's probably going to put the statement on this little run here. I just think it's going to take him a while. Both of these guys will have no problem staring at each other.
So then, what do you think makes it onto your card then for Saturday?
For this fight, I'm definitely on the over. 100% took the over. Yeah, I took the over. It's 2.5 rounds or something.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, I think it's too short.
I'm a little bit sad that you're saying the Dominick Reyes comeback train is going to go off the tracks. Mm-hmm. I do like him. I'll never forget watching that John Jones fight and not being in complete disbelief that this guy did not get the win. And then we kind of saw him lose his mental edge in the sport, and that's tough to get back. And I thought he was maybe getting it back a little bit, but I guess we'll see on Saturday in Perth.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think he did get it back. We can say that. He can lose this fight and still have it back. Okay. I think that should be said. Just because Reyes loses here, he's not done. He's just he's gonna float around the top 10. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna float around the top 10. Probably got a 2-3 more good fight years in him. He's gonna have a couple more good fights. I just think the whole fairy tale run to the title type of thing is probably gonna hit the emergency brake here.
Hey, no shame in that. It was impressive to see him even get it back after, like you said, those 2 KOs from hell that would have taken anybody out.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on this fight?
No, man. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I think this one. I think it's a very exciting card leading up to this, which has a high potential of being boring, in my opinion. But I'm excited for some bets. I think I'm hoping to make some money this weekend. I got some good leans. I got some good plays I've been digging. So. Trying to keep the momentum rolling. My account's been real hot between NFL and UFC over the past month. We're up some units, so I'll drop my main event analysis on Saturday morning, probably with the best bet. And I just dropped my odds article this morning too. So if you want to go over to bettingnews.com, you can check that out. It's got a prediction of every single fight, a bet in every single fight, essentially. And those have been doing good for us this year. The record's pretty good. So go check it out. Get involved at us at Betting News.
Yeah, make sure you go to bettingnews.com, check out everything that Tristan's doing with the UFC. He's also dabbling a little bit in boxing for you guys now, and he will be on Betspresso in the AM on Saturday, breaking down the fights a little bit more, giving you guys some plays from his card that comes out officially on Saturday afternoon. Triz, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure, my man.
Always a pleasure. We will have more violence for you next week, right? We still got more violence coming next week.
Yes, sir. Now we got a couple more cards coming. I don't think there's going to be a break for about a month. So should have 4 straight cards, I think.
All right, let's go. You came for the winners. You stayed for the vibes. Hope you guys enjoyed Trizzy's analysis. This was the Violence Report.